So good morning and welcome to our One World Spiritual Center Sunday online gathering. I am so glad you're here. Take that out of my ear because I'm hearing myself talk. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We are thrilled today to have Leanne Rubenstein from Compassionate Atlanta with us. I'm going to have a really cool conversation with Leanne about her topic, which is what keeps you up at night. If you're like me, that is probably a fairly long list. But anyway, we'll talk more about that in a second. We have some announcements. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on in terms of fellowship as we continue on with our transition to closing operations. So you're going to want to listen in on that. So please join us for fellowship immediately following our gathering today. If you need the Zoom link to join us for fellowship, please email me at info@oneworldspiritualcenter.net and I will get that to you. So what I'd like to do today as we begin, as we do every Sunday, is just take a minute and bring our attention and our awareness to this moment, to this present moment, this absolutely irreplaceable, precious present moment. And how we do that is we just sit and we form the intention to simply be in this moment. Take a deep breath. Sit comfortably in your chair, wherever you are. And just be willing to be a part of this beloved community, a part of this opportunity for the next 35 or 40 minutes. To refresh, renew, gain some new inspiration, some new thoughts, and just be together. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, please go ahead and post any comments you have. Say hi to folks. If you want to post on YouTube, I think you need to have a Gmail account. But if you are on Facebook, you can sure post at all on our One World Spiritual Center Facebook page. So take a breath and just be willing and be grateful to be here right now on this lovely September morning. So I would like to open with a prayer by an unknown author, but it's called Deep Listening. And part of what Leanne is going to be talking about is being in this present moment. And so much of that is simply listening to what is right now and not to be distracted or swayed by all the busyness in your head. So I invite you to listen. God of silence and God of all sound, help me to listen. Help me to do the deep listening to the sounds of my soul, waiting to hear your soft voice calling me deeper into you. Give me attentive ears that begin to separate the noise from the sounds that are you, you who have been speaking to me and through me my whole life, for so long that you can seem like background noise. Today, help me hear you anew. What a wonderful prayer. Today, help me hear you anew. That's a wonderful energy to move forward. So what I'm going to do now is bring on Leanne, and we will have our conversation on what keeps you up at night. Okay, so Leanne, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Excellent. We have with us Leanne Rubenstein. Am I saying your last name wrong? If it's been
You're right.
years.
You're good.
Okay, Leanne Rubenstein, a compassion cultivator from Compassionate Atlanta. And what I'd like to say before we start is if you have a comment or if you have a question, go ahead and post it in the Facebook chat. And I will bring it up because I'm monitoring the Facebook chat. I'm not monitoring YouTube. Can't do too much at once. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal once that said multitasking makes you stupid. So I have I'm multitasking about as much as I can. So if you have a comment, please post it in Facebook and I will monitor it and bring it up to Leanne. So Leanne, it's all yours. You want to give a brief introduction and what we're talking about?
Sure. Well, you and I talked last week, and it was time to, what's the topic? Well, I said, I'll get back to you in a day or two. And I found myself trying to fall asleep thinking about the topic and thinking about the topic that I didn't have a topic. So
I feel your pain.
I realized that that's my topic. It kind of came to me because I thought, what keeps you up at night? What keeps us all up at night? And I've been trying to develop some practices of how to be quiet in my mind, which I know you all talk about a lot. And I think that this topic is, I think we're a little bit like salmon swimming upstream, and that we have to teach our minds how to get quiet. And so that's how we came up with the topic, or I came up with the topic of what keeps you up at night. So one question is, what keeps you up at night? And I'll start with this quote by Joseph Campbell, actually. Okay, I'll be totally transparent. I bought something called Bliss in a Box.
Okay, we have to see that.
I'll show it to you. Bliss in a Box. It's just a little box. There are 2 CDs. And so I thought, okay, let's look through this. So here is this quote from Bliss in a Box. You must have a room or a certain hour or so a day where you don't know what was in the newspapers that morning. A place where you can simply experience and bring forth what you are and what you might be. So how do we do that while we're going to sleep at night? Because I think oftentimes we think about the news. So Melanie, what keeps you up at night?
I love that Bliss in a Box. And actually, when Leanne sent me that topic, the first thing I thought of was my dog. And then I thought, well, I think you're probably trying to go a bit deeper than that. But what keeps worries about my family, worries about the future, worries about democracy, worries about our political situation. Just your head buzzing. And what I have found is when my head starts buzzing, it is massively random. It can be about anything. It can be about things over which I have no control. It can be about things that are deeply personal over which I have some control.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about Bliss in a Box, I mean, I've heard that Joseph Campbell quote before, and I'm actually sitting right now in my box, my little office where I go to get away and meditate and think. It's a tiny little space. But it is a space that is very peaceful. And I'm very lucky to have one. A lot of people don't. They just have to kind of create their own space. So not only for me do I think you go there at night, but you go there when you need to during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the things that I talk about on our daily meditation. On our morning meditation, there's, we just do a 5-minute meditation and we, sit and breathe and just simply be for 5 minutes. And Pema Chodron, the Buddhist teacher, calls that a pause practice, P-A-U-S-E, a pause practice. And you can do it during the day. Just sit and stop and breathe. And let your mind still.
These days, sometimes it's hard to remember to do that, but you can set a little timer. So Iabo, who most of you know, she'll be sitting at her desk and she'll say, okay, Alexa, I got it. Because Alexa tells her to get up, stand up, and move around because she's at her desk all day. So you can do the same with a pause.
Yes, you can. They have apps. I actually have an app on my watch that tells me to stand. It says time to stand up. And
Melanie's so good with technology. You always are like, okay, there's an app for that. Me, here I am, setting my timer.
No, that's okay. Hey, listen, when I was going through seminary, when we were studying the segment on Islam, a bunch of folks found an app, and I have that on my phone as well, that calls you to prayer 5 times a day. And that is a reminder to stop and just reflect or do whatever it is you need to reconnect with that peaceful center.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about space for a minute. What is your bliss in a box, I guess? So if you're up at night, part of this also, and bliss in a box was, preparing your space. Now, what this is all about, I don't mean to be pitching Bliss in a box, but it just happens. It's such a good name, right?
Yeah.
So, how do you prepare your space? And when it comes to sleeping at night, it's all of the things we're talking about are very basic, but we tend to not focus on it sometimes. And if we don't focus on it, then we don't change it.
That is a very good point. Yes.
So, how's your mattress?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, does it need to be flipped? Do you need to find a new one? That could be a tall ask. But there's also a mattress a topper you can put on it if it's a bumpy thing, right? How are your pillows? How are your sheets? How does it feel to get into bed? Even that feeling, like, is the temperature okay? And what I was reading also that was really interesting is it said you should set your temperature between 60 and 67, which to me is a very wide range.
Yeah.
60 is a little chilly, and 67, anyway. Or is it 60 and 67? No, I guess
we set ours to 69 at night.
Yeah, okay. So
and it's still pretty chilly.
That's pretty chilly. So I don't think it's 60 and 67. That sounds too low.
That is pretty low, especially nowadays with energy costs. Yeah, just turn it down.
Skip whatever I said. But there was like a 7-degree, And, so my partner and I, she likes it cold. I don't like to be cold. And I don't think we're the only ones in that world, right?
No.
So she has a fan on her side of the bed. We do keep it cool. There's a fan overhead, and there's a nice down comforter. That's for me. So I can snuggle under there. Okay.
Right.
So then think about lighting. What's your lighting like? So on most nights, we have a very calm lighting space. But I have some neighbors, and whenever they don't stay here all the time, but when they're in town, they have these really bright lights that they put on outside. And it's like the sun is shining in.
Oh, that's bad.
So, yeah, that's bad. So I don't love that. But I know I can get blackout blinds if I want to.
Yeah, but that's still no fun, because what they say is if you have any light on, it really does, it makes you think, it changes your brain. It makes you think it's time to get up.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not here often, so it's most of the time very peaceful, and so that's great. So how's your lighting, right? How's your bed? And then what sounds are you listening to? Right? I mean, the dog barking. Okay, I don't know how to. But sometimes we put on my bonus grandson. When he goes to sleep, he has this. First of all, there's something called a shusher. Have you ever heard of a shusher?
No. What is that?
This little thing. Anybody who has a new baby, get them the shusher. You know when you put a baby to sleep and you go, shh.
Yeah.
This is a little thing that you turn on and it goes, shh.
Oh my God. For like an hour?
Yeah. You
wow.
put the timer on and it shushes. So he has that, but he also has this other thing called a hatch, I think. And it makes all these different sounds. So it's waves or rain or, whatever.
Yeah.
And I love the sound of rain if I'm inside under a roof.
Yeah.
Snuggled in my bed. So you can put a sound on.
There's an app for that.
I know there is an app for that. What's the app?
Well, your iPhone does it. It does it with the alarm. It does it. I think the Insight Meditation has an app. There's an app called Relaxing Melodies, which I also have. So yeah, you can get rain. You can get things as discreet as the Danube flowing by a certain city. It's just like, really, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wind noises.
We're gonna have a resource page for this.
Yeah.
So, what are your sounds? And then, what did you just eat? What do you eat before you go to bed? Or when did you have that last cup of coffee? I actually used to have a cup of tea, a caffeinated cup of tea as a relaxation thing.
Caffeine?
yeah, but then at some point in my life, something switched and I couldn't have it anymore. It would keep me up at night.
Well, see, that happens. That happened to me with chocolate. I can't have chocolate at night,
Wow.
which really stinks.
I know. Why do we want to go for that sweet stuff, right? But if we can kind of push
Yeah.
it off and just have that green tea or something calming, then, that will also help.
Yes.
Um, so what else do we need to do around our space?
Well, electronics.
Oh, yes,
Don't
yes,
turn on your. Now I say this, and I read my Kindle at night, so don't do what I say, not what I do.
yes,
But they
yes,
say to turn off your electronics. What do they say? An hour before you go, so you're not getting all that blue light in your face or whatever it is that wires you up.
yeah.
You
And
have to.
if you can't do it, there are glasses you can get to stop the blue light. But the best thing to do is to stop doing it and make a commitment to not touching your phone.
Oh my goodness.
I know I struggle with this one, but I'm trying to do better.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the do not disturb on your phone.
Yes.
Because every time it dings, we always want to know, oh, who is that?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, why are people texting me this at late at night?
I know.
You know,
I don't want them up at 3. I know. I kept my do not disturb off when my kids were growing up, and one of them was out of the house, and I thought, oh my God, he might need something at 3 in the morning. Not even realizing there's very little I can do for him at 3 in the morning. But that doesn't matter. But in the last year, I have started putting on the do not disturb, and I put my phone in another room and I turn off the sound.
wow, you're really good.
The next step is to put it out in the car.
Now you can put it on personal focus where
Yes.
your favorites can get through,
Not
but
interested.
nobody else can.
Yeah. No.
So if you need it there, I totally get that. But you can kind of manage that. So electronics, big deal. TV. I always thought, well, it's nice to fall asleep to the TV. Am I the only one like that?
I never fall asleep to the TV.
Oh my God, I used to. But now it's like, no, turn it off. And what I say to myself now is be here now. Be here now. So let's talk about what keeps you up at night when it comes to the world's issues. What do we do about that? So I would say pick one thing that you can do that's good in the world. One thing. I just filled my bird feeder with food. It gives me such joy when the birds come, right?
Yeah.
If that's my one thing, I think I'm making the world a bit of a better place for the birds.
Yes.
So when we think about these big, huge issues, pick one thing and do that one thing. And then when you're going to sleep at night and you're having a hard time with the world, go back to your one thing and how you're making a difference.
Is that your one thing? No, because you're the head of Compassion Atlanta. You're spreading compassion. That's a good thing.
That's not my one thing. I just did that today. So, if I had a hard time tonight, I might pick that one thing. But yeah, every day it might change my one thing. There's my mom calling me. It might be
Yeah.
that I was there for my mom. Every day it might be different, but it doesn't have to be monumental. I worked in refugee resettlement for a long time, and there's this whole world out there of people who are suffering, and it's really quite unimaginable. Is that a word? Unimaginable?
Yeah.
And so it can become soul crushing to think about all that's going on out there. But how can we as one person do something about it? And I figured out that we could. We actually can do, for one person, if you can make one person feel a little bit better, that's your gift to the world. And that person doesn't have to be a refugee.
Right.
That person can be really, I give out these little love notes. I probably gave them out every time I was there with you guys, these little rounded love notes. But I was once at CVS at about 10 o'clock at night getting something, And there was the cashier, and she was kind of tired. And I said, I have something for you. And she said, you do? Nobody's ever given me anything. No, she didn't even know what it was. And it was this little rolled up piece of paper, a little love note from the universe. And it changed her day.
Oh, that's
So
very cool.
that might have been my thing for the day.
Yeah.
Is how, what did I do? I was nice to someone. Wow. That is enough to, if we were all nice to someone, how will that shift the trajectory of the world? Right? How does that change things? Or even better, if we were nice to someone that might be a little annoying to us.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, being nasty to someone doesn't make you feel better.
True.
Very true. I mean, one of the things I think about when I think about the world and what keeps me up at night about the world is there's very little of it that I can impact. Not much. So does my quantum of worry and stress really improve anybody's life? And the answer really is no.
No. You know what? They also have done studies about compassion. Whereas compassion is to work to alleviate the suffering of another. That's how we define compassion, okay? So we kind of confuse it with empathy sometimes.
Yeah, that was my next question, yeah.
Okay. Empathy is feeling for another. I feel sad for that person or whatever, right? But compassion is going a step further to alleviate that suffering. Now that might mean you see somebody homeless on the street and you acknowledge them. And you smile, So that kind of thing is, you haven't fixed anything, but you have shown compassion to another. So how have you changed that person's day? And that's all around us that we can do these things. So if you're up at night and you're worried, you can actually send good energy, if this is in your scope of things to do. You could send good energy to those people that are suffering, and they have done brain studies that will make you feel better.
Yeah. Well, that's a meta prayer. That's kind of like a loving kindness prayer. Just sending it. The other thing I realize when I'm up at night and I'm worried about things at night is sometimes we think our minds are running away with us and we have no control. But the truth is we have absolute control about what we're thinking about. And that is wonderful. So sometimes at night, if I'm up and I'm worried and I'm just kind of hyperventilating cognitively, which is a wonderful image, I just came up with that. But I form the intention literally to think about something else. I mean, I think that's where counting sheep comes from. I mean, I think you can do something else.
I thought the exact same thing. I said, I've just figured out where counting sheep comes from.
Yeah.
That is, there's, we thought you said that, oh my God, how stupid. But counting sheep is actually a meditative thing.
Yes. If you can't think of anything else you want to do, just do that.
And my new favorite phrase is be here now, right? So I lie in bed and my mind goes and I come back to be here now. And of course there's breathing.
Yeah.
Breathing is a beautiful thing. We all need to do it, and yet we do it so we don't think about our breathing. So do you have a favorite breathing technique?
There are several. Breathing, not stopping is my favorite breathing technique. So, in the meditation, what I do when I'm sitting here in my little bliss box is I just breathe deeply. You kind of sit straight. You sit straight so that your spine is straight. You're kind of lining up all those chakras. And you breathe deeply in. I breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. And you expand your belly, not your chest. A lot of people, when they breathe, they go, and it's not a shoulder thing. It's a diaphragm thing. So your shoulders stay down. Another practice that we learned at One World a long time ago was alternate nostril breathing. Have you heard of that?
I think I might have done it with you once.
Okay, cool. But yeah, you do that, and in and out and in, and then you switch in and out and in. And that is supposed to have an effect in terms of promoting peace. I can't tell you why or how, but it does make a bit of a difference. I also had a lady, Melody LeBaron, who's a fabulous speaker, come and speak. and she was talking about breathing techniques that she uses, and they involve motion. Like she would, and I can't even remember it, but I'm just going to do it. She would go and spin and spin, and it was a very active breathing technique, but she does it every day. If I can remember, I'll put it on our resource page. But
and that might be better for the morning.
That might be better for the morning. Yes, I think that's...
But you know, there's also the 4-4-4. I know a lot of kids know this one.
Tell me the 4-4-4.
You breathe in for 4.
Mm-hmm.
No, you breathe in for 4. You hold it for 4. And then you let it out for 4.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Part of that counting is also going to keep your mind busy, but not busy about the problems of the world.
Right.
Busy with your breathing, and that will help calm you down.
Well, that's the first step, I think, in learning a great many forms of meditation is just learning to focus on your breathing. And when your mind, you know, what people say is, I can't do that, my mind keeps getting busy. Well, that's why they call it a practice. You know, when the thought comes in, you just let it go, and you intentionally bring your focus back to your breathing. And if you have to do that 100 times, that means you've succeeded. Mm-hmm. You just keep doing it.
Yeah, so many people think, oh, I can't meditate, or I don't do it right. But you are doing it right.
There's no right.
Yeah.
The only wrong is getting up and giving up.
Yes, truly.
Yeah, I mean, Pema Chodron says the key to meditating is just stay. And sometimes if my mind is just zooming and I want to get up, I just say to myself, stay. Yeah. I was on a meditation, my not-so-silent meditation retreat 2 years ago in November with Mitch Cohn and a bunch of guys at Ignatius House, a bunch of folks at Ignatius House. And he had us do 40-minute meditations 3 or 4 times a day. I thought, there is no living way I'm going to be able... And I did. 40 minutes sitting in the silence several times a day. It was amazing.
It's a practice. You have to train for 40 minutes. Yeah. So even just a few minutes is good.
Yeah, even 5 minutes, even 1 minute. I have a 1-minute breathing meditation app.
Okay, so tell us your apps again.
Well, I can't go through all of them. I have Insight Meditation, which is very cool. That I have a group on my phone called Meditation. There's something called Relax Melodies. There's an app called White Noise. Mm-hmm. And I also have an app that is called Centering Prayer. And this is interesting because we think about meditation, and a lot of times we think about Vipassana meditation, which is the Buddhist breathing meditation, you know, focusing on your breathing. But there are modifications or types of meditation that are specific to different faith traditions. For example, in Christianity, you have Lectio Divina, and you have contemplative prayer. And contemplative prayer is a practice whereby you have an opening prayer, you form the intention to be still, you read a very short line of scripture, and then you just sit with it for several moments. Just whatever you want to read. It doesn't have to be Christian scripture, it can be anything. Just inviting it to kind of seep into your DNA, and you sit with that phrase. And then you express gratitude and you come out of it. And it's a fabulous process to center.
Mm-hmm. Chanting is also beautiful.
Chanting?
And they'd have a reading in the synagogue that I go to. They do a morning chant, and they do some chanting that is, to me, it's like a hug for your soul. I know that sounds silly, but I mean, I don't know how to explain it another way. It's just very calming and centering, and it's in Hebrew, so I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah.
Which is even more beautiful.
That's okay.
To me. No, I love it. I actually love that part of it, is that I can be part of this moment, and it's not about the words.
Right.
It's about the vibration.
Yeah.
So
No, chanting is key. Or dancing. Look at the Sufis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever really resonates with you.
Yeah, whatever grounds you.
But I think the message is that we all have a choice as to how we deal with things that trouble us. Yes. You're not just a victim of your busy, scattered mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you decide to
so
be here now.
Hopefully, nothing will keep you up tonight. You will soundly sleep. Well, let me say this. Everything is a practice, right?
Yeah.
As you said.
Yeah.
So, there are people that wake up. I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning every morning. Every night.
Why?
For a long time, I woke up at 3 o'clock, and I then was wide awake. Well, I realized my body was. This was now a habit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I had to train myself, like, don't get up, just lie here, breathe, be here now, do a little, I don't know if you know progressive relaxation,
Mm-hmm.
where you start with your toes and you feel your toes and relax your toes and then your ankles. And, by the time you get to your, like, arms, you're like, so I had to get myself out of that pattern.
Yeah.
And so I had control over it in that way. So each little step will get you closer, I think, to a restful night's sleep and not keeping up at night.
Well, and a restful day, because these practices you use all day. I mean, they benefit you all day.
And if you don't sleep at night, you're going to be cranky in the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and actually, these practices that help you sleep, they help you have, I think restful sleep, in a sense, is a byproduct of a peaceful day.
Mm-hmm. And we didn't talk about walking, and I this is also do as I say, not as I do, but take the dog for a walk around the neighborhood, or just walk down the street. I think even just, and it's fall now, or getting to be.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful outside that I think a walk can also, throughout the day or before you go to bed, can really kind of
It can.
get the muscles kind of ready to relax.
It can. If it's a peaceful walk. I'm laughing. I had a walk the other. I'm not going to tell you about this walk, but yeah, a peaceful walk would be nice.
I know. I'm like, why is she laughing at a peaceful walk? Okay, go on your own. You have to go on your own. Maybe not with the dog.
Yeah, there are many challenges in life.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, if anyone wants a dog, call me. You got my email. Okay. Hey, thank you, Leanne. This was great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all, because, whenever you give me a topic, I've got to really embody that topic. So I plan to sleep well and take some of my own advice.
Okay.
So, thank you for reminding me.
Okay. Thank you, Leanne.
All right.
Okay, guys, I have just had somebody come in who tells me I need to take a break, so I apologize, but I will be right back. What's the matter? Call out. What's the matter? I need you to call out. Okay, I'll call him right now. Call him right now. Okay. Guys, this is unorthodox and I truly apologize, but my wife just told me that I have a family emergency. So I need to sign off, and I'm going to ask Linda Wendt to handle fellowship. I hope you're listening, Linda. I will find you. But many thanks to Leanne, and we will see you next week. Again, I really apologize.